Good Sunday morning. I'm News Center Maine's Don Kerrigan here with this week's edition of Political Brew. We are joined by intrepid analysts, Democrat Betsy Sweet, Republican Garrett Mason, now in post-election mode for 2 weeks. And I think we got a few things to talk about.
Yeah, there's a few things.
President Trump is taking over the entire news cycle again, just about, with all of these rapid-fire appointments to cabinet positions and a few others. Betsy, I know that you're not happy about those.
Well, I think what we're seeing is something that's very frightening but predictable, which is he is putting people in place that actually have no or very limited experience in terms of running those departments. And then in one case, he's putting someone who's under investigation and was about to have an ethics report, and Matt Gaetz, who I think everybody, including our Republican Senator Susan Collins, thinks is just horrific or shocking. So I think we see that. We see that at the Department of Defense, we see a TV host who has a little bit of time in the National Guard. We see people at the EPA who are oil drillers. I mean, we see every appointment that he is suggesting are ones, the people who have very limited experience, and certainly we can't forget Robert Kennedy as the head of Department of Human Services. These are people with very limited experience and training in the fields that they are in, and then who have a very radical right agenda. And it's what he said he was going to do, and now I hope we believe him. Yeah.
Before we talk about individual ones, Garrett, what's your overall take on this?
Well, I agree with one thing that Betsy said, and that is this is predictable. These are all people that President Trump campaigned with. They were surrogates on the campaign trail, and that is not abnormal to have surrogates be appointed to these posts. I completely disagree with the readiness of some of these people, like RFK. RFK was a lifelong Democrat. He sued the EPA a million times. He's perfectly capable of leading a department.
Does the fact that he seems to embrace some fringe theories on some health things, is that a concern?
We can talk about fringe theories on the right and left, but as far as RFK is concerned, he's leading the Department of Health and Human Services. We have a public health crisis in this country that people don't believe the department anymore. There's so much stuff coming out of that department that nobody believes. In COVID, if you just go on to the left-wing news networks, all the left-wing anchors told us if you get the COVID jab, you're not going to infect anybody else. We learned that that's not true. It doesn't stop infection. So much of the public health crisis we have in this country was caused by that department. So, you have somebody in there coming in who is a lawyer, he is a reformer, and you mentioned the EPA. This is a gentleman who sued the EPA for so many different things. Don't you want somebody like that in there, in that Trump cabinet, talking about environmental issues? I think that's a good thing.
No, Jared, I was going to call you Jared. Garrett, we cannot say that Robert Kennedy and his anti-vaccine program, we can't say that there's 100 years of vaccinations, COVID or otherwise, that we just are going to throw out of the window and say vaccinations cause autism.
But RFK is not against vaccinations.
Yes, he's against all vaccinations.
No, he's not. Yes. He's against the pharmaceutical lobby having carte blanche to put whatever they want into our bodies and then being forced to do it by the government. All he's saying is, maybe we should look and see what's in here. Maybe you should have liability for the products that you're putting in people's bodies. He has said that on multiple occasions.
Yeah. Let's move to some of these other folks. Gaetz for Attorney General, which even a number of Republicans are saying he's not going to get confirmed by that. And Mr. Hegseth for Department of Defense, who appears to have no actual management experience. He had 18 years in the National Guard and multiple tours overseas, but no major management experience. Are those good appointments in your view?
I'll talk about Pete Hegseth first. Let's look at what we have in the current Department of Defense in Lloyd Austin. What was the first thing that happened under that Department of Defense? Well, we did the disastrous Afghanistan withdrawal, where we still have Americans behind enemy lines right now. We have recruitment levels that are way, way low, and you can just look on the Department of Defense website to learn that that's the case. We have a readiness problem with our military. So what we have right now is we have a program that is not working. Let's look at Pete Hegseth, and I think just to qualify him as a talk show host, I don't think that that's fair. Number one, he's had 20 years in the National Guard. That is a huge amount of time. You have
position.
What is that? Pete Hegseth is somebody who looks acts and thinks like the men and women who the Department of Defense controls. He also wrote a book. Yes, he does. He also wrote a book on exactly what President Trump wants to do in the military, and is cleanse out some of the wokeness out of the military, the DEI initiative.
Yeah. So, I mean, he wants to cleanse out women. Anybody? He said he doesn't believe women should be in combat roles. He doesn't want women in the. He doesn't want people of color. He doesn't want gay people, and he believes that he doesn't understand that most of our military right now are low-income, poor people who have no other option, and he has zero management experience in terms of leading the most powerful military in the world. That is frightening to me. That and he does not have the respect of all the other people in the military. So if he wants to wipe out the wokeness,
according to who?
Well, what he says is not he just wants to wipe out wokeness. President Trump says he wants to get rid of the people who are not loyal to him. And Hexworth is very willing to follow that agenda. And that is a frightening thing, I think, for America.
I'll just have to press back on a couple of things. Number one, he does not want to get women out of the military. That's not true. He does not want to get rid of gay people out of the military.
Let them be secretaries?
No. Okay, yeah. but Betsy, then you also disagree with the Marines. The Marines did an entire study on women in combat roles in mixed troop mixed gender platoons. Every single time, the men-only platoons did better than the mixed gender. That's just facts that they put out there. That's what the Marines put out there.
Right, but
so he's not saying to get rid of them. He's saying that they should be in appropriate roles, just like men should be in appropriate roles.
Yeah. So let's shift to a slightly different thing involving Maine, which is Senator Susan Collins, who's now going to have to be in the middle of all of this, still hoping to become chair of the Senate Appropriations Committee, a long-held dream. Is she going to be thrust into a very awkward position, being one of the only a couple of moderates and somebody who's opposed Trump?
I think Susan Collins is going to have a very challenging role for the next 2 years, which will impact what happens in 2026. To be the chair of appropriations and to be the thoughtful, moderate senator that she has been for Maine, and then to have to be either defend or oppose what the draconian appropriations, I mean, Elon Musk getting rid of a third of the government, right, all of that, she's going to have to do something about that. She's going to have to say yes or no or moderate it. And that is going to be an incredibly difficult position for her. Okay. I think it's very challenging.
And Jared, quick, same thing. Garrett.
You guys got Jared on the brain today. We'll talk about him later. Yeah. Senator Collins, I think I'm very happy that she is going to be where she's going to be with that leadership race that took place between Senators Thune, Cornyn, and Scott. I think having Senator Thune be elected was probably a great thing for her. She's probably going to be able to maintain that appropriations post, which is going to be unbelievable for Maine. That is going to be such a great thing for us. So she's going to be in a tricky spot, but she's always been there, and she'll wade through it.
Okay, a whole lot more to talk about. We'll be back with segment 2 of Political Brew. Welcome back to this week's edition of Political Brew. I'm News Center Maine's Don Kerrigan, here with Republican analyst Garrett Mason, Democratic analyst Betsy Sweet. A lot still going on in Maine, not getting quite the headlines that they're generating down in Washington. First of all, we are recording this on Friday, so we do not yet have a decision on the CD2 ranked choice count. But I'll ask you guys, do you expect that the ranked choice count is likely to change anything? Garrett, you first.
I don't think so. I think the margin is too great. I think Congressman Golden's probably going to pull this out. However, as someone who has been in a recount before in my own race, on election night I thought I lost because the little town of Wales inadvertently flip their numbers around. And we've seen that happen a couple of times in this race, and all it takes is for one town to do that, and it could drastically change the race. But I don't think that that's going to happen. That's kind of rare. So I think Congressman Golden's going to pull it out.
Yeah, I believe he is too. And I think the important thing is for him to look at this, right? To say there are so many people who put nobody down, and so many people who wrote somebody in as their first choice and put Jared as their second choice. That's a message to him from his base, from his Democratic base, and I hope he pays attention to it. But I don't think it's going to change.
I think that's true. I think looking at those ballots in the counting room, there from what I've heard, there is some of that.
Yeah, a lot of it.
Yeah,
more than they thought.
Yeah. So when you folks are listening, you'll already know the answer that these folks are predicting. So we'll see what happens with that.
We'll see just how smart we are.
Maine legislature is, parties in the legislature have chosen their leaders. Just the formalities have to happen on the first, December 4th, I believe it is, to put all these pieces into place. Ryan Fecteau, former Speaker of the House, he was out for 2 years, has come back and has already been chosen to be Speaker again. Betsy, I know you spent a lot of time with the legislature. Is that a good thing?
Yeah, I think it's a great thing. I think Ryan was a very effective Speaker of the House. I think people felt that anybody in leadership from the last time was, not something that they wanted again, and I think that's how what Ryan played out. I think there's a couple things. One is Ryan was a very successful Speaker back then, but I also think this is an opportunity potentially, if the Democrats retain control of the House, to have a Speaker for 8 years. And with term limits, we have not had that. We have had like every 2 years or every 4 years at the most, someone turnover, staff turnover. That makes a big difference. So I think that this is a possibility for a lot of stability and the ability to get things done over the long term.
Mm-hmm. And last session was something of a train wreck in terms of just schedule and management and everything, and a lot of hard feelings going all over the place, Garrett.
Yeah, I mean, I think, if you will, Speaker Fecteau's pulled a Trump. He's gone away and come back. That's pretty rare.
I think he would hate that characterization, actually.
I think he would too,
actually.
Yeah. You go through 1 term of doing that type of work. It's something that I got to do a little bit of. It is like riding a bike. You get back on and you can figure it out. But I think there is potential for great management.
Will he let Republicans be heard a little bit more than they appear to have been heard last time?
Based on his prior experience, I believe so.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we've got much closer margins in House and Senate.
Yeah.
So what's that going to mean?
It's not nearly as close as we thought it was going to be in both the House and Senate. So I think that, we have closer, but not much closer. I do think that if you look at nationally what happened, if you look at what's happening in the state, I think there's a desire and a mandate, not a mandate, but a suggestion that we actually are going to have to hold together. I think when we see what comes down the pike from Trump, both Republicans and Democrats in Maine are going to have to come together to say, whoa, that's a little too far for Maine. Like that, that's not what we believe. And so I think we're going to see that. I hope we see that and ways to do it. I know that in my conversations, I'm sure in yours, getting ready for the legislative session, there's a lot of both Republicans and Democrats who want to work together on things.
And of course, there's a budget challenge to deal with, as always, but this one maybe more so than it's been lately. Garrett, if they can pull the parties together, will that help?
Well, I think they're going to have to try. There's $1 billion gap that they're going to have to make up. There's only 2 ways to do that in government. You either got to raise taxes or you got to cut spending. And with a gap this large, you're going to have to do a little of both if that's the case.
Okay.
So they're going to have to figure that out.
Briefly,
yes.
Aside from budget, if we can, is there one big issue that's going to dominate this legislative session? Betsy?
Yeah, I think children's mental health and children's welfare is going to be huge.
We did not talk about this off stage, but I actually do agree that mental health, Section 21 and 29, vulnerable people is going to be a focus. So I agree with Betsy on that.
All right.
Hey, look at that.
Yeah.
How about that? They're starting the new session, right, with agreement. There we go. Okay, winners and losers of the week. Garrett, you first.
Well, I think the winner is, you're not going to like this, Betsy, but Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He spent a lifetime going after public health and things that are important to him, and today he gets to lead one of the largest departments of government, so I would consider him a winner this week. And I think the loser of the week is, it has to be Kamala Harris. It was her campaign. I won't lie, they raised a lot of money and did a lot of things, but it just did not pan out for her. So that's my winner and loser of the week.
All right, thank you, Betsy.
I think the winners of the week for me are the people and organizations who have already stepped up to help and provide support and comfort and real support to the people who were used as political fodder in this presidential race, including trans kids and their families and immigrants and new Americans. So I think those people have already stepped up to say, we're here, we got your back, whatever's going to happen. So I think those are the winners of the week. The losers of the week to me is across both the Democratic and Republican spectrum, and that is the political pundits who are going to take the wrong lessons from this loss, from this outcome of this election. The people who say, oh, we needed more money, oh, we need a little bit better ground game, a little bit messaging. What we need to say is that the system is very broken, and we need to go back to basics and say, what do we need to rebuild? How do we rebuild people's trust in democracy, get this ridiculous amount of money out of our elections and get it back to the people?
A lot there. All right. Thank you both very much. A lot going to be happening over the next few days. Political Brew will be back next week.